In my last two lectures, I have talked about file operations in C language. Let's try to know a few more things about this topic. Actually, what we have come to know, file is a collection of bytes that is stored on a secondary storage devices like a disk. There are two kinds of files in a system. They are text files and binary files. So in this regard, one thing I would like to tell you, the extension name of a file is very important. Why? Because it determines the format of information stored in a file. So in case of text files, generally the extension name is .txt, and in case of binary files, the extension name is .bin. Actually, text file contains ASCII codes of digits, alphabetic characters and symbols. On the other hand, binary file contains collection of bytes, obviously zeros and ones. Binary files are a compiled version of text files, we can say that. So what are the basic operations we perform on a file? There are actually 4 basic operations that can be performed on a file in C programming language, and they are opening or creating a file, closing a file, reading a file, and writing in a file. Now you see, whenever we perform any operation, what we need to do, first we need to open the file, and after that we perform the operation, and after that what we do, we close the file. For performing any operation in a file, file pointer plays a vital role. So what is this file pointer? File pointer is a pointer which is used to handle and keep track on the files being accessed. A new data type called file, F-I-L-E, all are in caps, is used to declare file pointer. This data type is defined in stdio.h file. File pointer is declared as file star fp, where fp is a file pointer. So practically I'll show you all these things, but for this time I would like to say you that file pointer is something which points out the contents of a file, and whenever we perform any operation on a file, that file pointer should be attached to the file. Therefore it is very important. Until and unless we are not attaching that file pointer to a file, we cannot perform any operation. And whenever we declare any file pointer, then this keyword file in capital we need to use, and after this keyword file, the file pointer is declared star fp, as I mentioned here. So later when you will write programs related to file operations, there we'll see this thing in details. Different functions of C are used to work on files. Now I'll tell you some of the functions which are very useful while working with a file in C programming language. One function is fopen. What is the function of this fopen? It creates a new file for use. That means whenever we need to create a new file, that time this fopen function is used. Fopen function is used to open an existing file. So we may open any existing file for any type of action, like we may modify some information there, or we may add some new information there. So whatever the action we are going to perform on a file, that file should be opened first. Already I mentioned that first we open the file, then we perform the operation, and before closing the program we close the file. So fopen function is used to open a file. Similarly, fclose function is there. Fclose function is used to close a file. So after opening the file, when we perform our action, after performing the action, we need to close the file. Then another function is there, that is getC. Actually this getC function reads a character from a file. So character by character, if we want to read the contents of a file, that time getC function is used. Another function is a putC function. PutC function is used to display a character on standard output, or it is used to write into a file. So as getC is used to read a character from a file, similarly putC is used to write a character to a file. Another function is fgets. Fgets function is used to read a file line by line. Similarly, we have another function, fputs function. This fputs function writes a line of characters into a file. So all these functions I'll discuss in details with examples later. We know that a file is identified by its name. So whenever we save a file, we need to give a file name. This file name is divided into two parts. First part, dot, second part. The first part, that is the file name, it may consist of alphabets and digits. Special characters are also supported, but it depends on the operating system we are using. Means if the operating system allows, then we can use some special characters also in a file name. And the second part, which is after dot, that is called extension name. Actually, this extension name already I have mentioned that it describes the file type. In case of a text file, the extension name may be .txt, and in case of a binary file, the extension name is .bin. So already I talked about file pointer. So before opening a file, what we need to have a file pointer, so we declare it. A file pointer actually determines that we are going to work with a file. A file pointer has the complete information about the file being opened or processed, such as name of the file, mode it is opened in, starting buffer address, a character pointer that points to the character being read. All this kind of information a file pointer has. As a file is stored in computer's secondary storage, so to perform any operation, like we may perform reading operation or we may perform writing operation on a file, the file must be brought into memory. Memory means RAM, from the storage device. Storage device, it may be hard disk or it may be any other secondary storage device. This process of bringing the copy of the file from disk to memory is called opening the file. That's why we need to open a file before performing any operation. While opening a file, we need to mention the type of operation we are going to perform on a file. So that depends on the file mode, means in which mode we are opening the file. There are different modes. I'm just going to mention some of them. If we open the file in R mode, that means we are just opening a text file, and for reading purpose we are opening it. If we open the file in W mode, that means for writing purpose we are opening a file. So all these modes I'll explain later with examples, so it will be more clear to you. If we open the file in A mode, that means we want to add some new information there. And if we open the file in RB mode, that means we are just opening a binary file for reading purpose. And the same thing if we do, means if we open the file in WB mode, that means we are just going to perform writing operation in a binary file. And if we open the binary file in AB mode, that means we are just going to add some new information to that binary file. And if we open the file in R plus mode, that means we are just opening the file for reading and writing, both the purposes. If we open the file in W plus mode, that means we are just opening one existing file, or we are creating a text file for reading and writing purpose. If we open a file in A plus mode, that means we are just going to append, or we are going to create a text file for reading and writing purposes. If we open a file in R plus B mode, that means we are opening a binary file for reading and writing purposes. If we open a file in W plus B mode, that means we are just creating a binary file for reading and writing purposes. If we open a file in A plus B mode, that means we are adding some new records in a binary file, and here we are performing reading and writing both the operations. So these are the file modes. All these file modes we will see in different programs, and there we will get some more details of these file modes.